What's up, guys? My name's Stupendous, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about WoW Legion and exactly kind of what character you want to roll during the next expansion. I'm just gonna kind of roll through each class, tell you what's good, what's coming for the class, kind of what everybody's been talking about. So first, I'm gonna start with a warrior. So in pretty much every expansion pack, the warrior's been probably one of the warrior's probably been one of the most well-rounded classes since the beginning, and they always seem to be a good pick. I mean, in PvP they have very good chase and very good lockdown, and in PvE Fury they can obviously they can do the dual wielding 2H's and just output a bunch of DPS into a raid boss and trash. So warrior is always a good pick, and I'm probably gonna roll a warrior in this next expansion. So next up is hunter. Hunters have kind of gotten a bad rap in the last couple expansions because of how kind of boring they're going to be played, and in this next expansion, I think they're going to be just as boring. Their rotations aren't very juicy and fun to play. It's kind of just spamming a few shots. So they're still going to be boring as fuck. So I have a level 100 hunter, and I'm sad that I'm probably not going to play him until the very end, until I'm just leveling him up just to level him up. But unless they give the hunters a considerable buff, I mean they're a good class to play, but they're just not fun. Warlocks have kind of been okay throughout the expansions. There hasn't been really, I mean, I think during Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade, Warlocks were pretty heavy. There was a lot of Warlocks running around, but ever since then, it's kind of been Mist and Pandaria and Warlord's a Drainer, and probably into Legion. Warlocks are still not going to be very good. A lot of people are talking about how Warlocks are going to be good because they're going to be able to trap demons and stuff like that. They're going to be good against the demon horde. I don't really know how effective a warlock is gonna be, especially if they don't give them major buffs. They're really just not that they're really just not that good right now, and especially in PvP. In PvP, they just get annihilated. So if you're into PvP, I would definitely not roll a warlock in this next expansion. I don't even have a warlock, but from what people are talking about, it's not looking good for the warlock folks. So when monks rolled out in Mist of Pandaria, they were just kind of mediocre. People played them just to kind of play them, and still now people just kind of play them to play them. Their healing is extremely hard and difficult, and I mean a druid, a shaman, all the other healing classes I would say are a little bit better than monk. So if you're a healer and you're a monk, I wouldn't recommend rolling a monk healer into this next expansion, especially if you really want to go diving into raids and trying to heal up these tanks. I mean, it's gonna be pretty difficult for you to get a group, I think. That being said, I believe, and what I've heard is that monks are gonna be getting a really big buff, so they might be a good choice, but I still would kind of get away from the monk because they really just aren't seeing too much play because of the restraints that the class is under. And even if you're a DPS monk, DPS monks really aren't very effective right now. And I think that's gonna roll over into the expansion as well. Mages are always good. Every expansion, PvP, PvE, everything. Mages are just badass, like all the time. As a person that's played through every single expansion, I know exactly. I have a mage. Mages are awesome. I would definitely recommend rolling a mage in this next expansion if you have one and you play it well, because mages are just top notch is what I meant to say. I mean it doesn't really need too much other than that. I think Blizzard is going to keep the mages just being straight up OP at all times, because that's just what they are. And kind of going back into Dalaran, I'm pretty sure we're going back into Dalaran. That's like a mage city. So technically, I mean, mages are going to be like number one. So you have to roll it. You have to roll it. So demon hunters. Oh man. So Demon Hunters launched like 2 days ago, or yesterday or 2 days ago, and there is just an influx of Demon Hunters everywhere. I mean, I'm trying to get in some good arena, some good battlegrounds, some minor dungeoning for some achievements, and Demon Hunters are just. I had a group where it was me on a warrior, and then 3 demon hunters. 1 was a tank, 2 were DPS, and a healer. 3 demon hunters in one group. It was insane. And then I did the Black Gate raid, and there was like 20. There was like 20 demon hunters. Then it was me and like the healers. That's it. I guess fighting Archimon with the demon hunters, 500 attack against demon boosts or whatever, is cool. Like, it wasn't that tough, but they're already like pretty annoying. And talking about rolling them into the next expansion, I think they're just kind of one of those panda, those Pandarian monks that everybody rolled, and then they all went back to their alts because monks are kind of lame. They're kind of lame. So I think Demon Hunters aren't going to get very much play. In PvP, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they are a counter to rogues, but rogues, they're also a mediocre class, I think. So we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see, but I really don't. If you're gonna level a Demon Hunter up first, you have to really like the combat style. It's just there's too many of them for right now, and I just don't really think that they're gonna be very good in the next expansion. And that's just from what I've heard and what I think as well. So priests, I think, are going to be pretty good from what I've heard and from what I've seen. Priests have always obviously been a really good healer class throughout all the expansions. They kind of went downhill during Mists of Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor because druids and shamans, they kind of got buffed and are able to heal raids, I think, a little more effectively. But I see a resurgence in priest healers coming back to the game full throttle in Legion. I would not recommend rolling a DPS priest in Legion. They've always kind of been mediocre. I think that priests need to stay a healer. Shadow priests are just kind of they're not lame, but they're just they don't put enough DPS out, and it just goes to show, like, you don't see very many of those priests running around anymore, and that's just because they're not as good. Druids were not as good in the first couple expansions, I think, but as soon as Cataclysm, I think, as soon as a Cataclysm came out, Druids have just gotten like way good, especially healing, and I do not think that that's going to go away during Legion. I think Druids are going to stay the top healers in the game, because I and everybody else thinks that they are and know that they are. So I mean, and also they have 4 specs. They're the only class that has 4 specs in the game, and any one of those specs could explode in Drainer and be one of the best and be super overpowered. So honestly, I think Druids are going to be your best bet rolling into Legion. Even though I'm not going to roll a Druid myself, Druids have always been good since Cataclysm. They've been mediocre. They haven't been like really bad. They've been mediocre, and then Cataclysm hit, and then they're just bomb as fuck. So if you really want to have an OP hero and you want to do really well, a Druid is your best bet, because you're going to be able to change your spec to kind of match the buffs that kind of go in. And once you hit level 110, you're going to be able to see that. We're going to be able to read it in articles and see exactly which spec's the best, roll into that spec, and then just be a motherfucking badass. So rogues are kind of an iffy subject rolling into Legion, because they've kind of been mediocre ever since Mists of Pandaria. Rogues were like really good from vanilla to Cataclysm, and then they kind of just tapered off because they really didn't get the buffs they deserved. And with the introduction of a Demon Hunter and their ability to seek rogues out, they might not be as good in Arena, which they're infamous for because of sap and abilities like that. I think that Demon Hunters will bring a new element to the especially the 3v3 arena. So if you're a rogue that likes to run Battlegrounds Arena, I think you might get hurt this patch. Or this expansion, I'm sorry. I think that you might get hurt this patch, because I think a lot of people are going to roll a Demon Hunter in their group just so that they can counter those rogues. Because saps really take away, I mean, they take away your trinket, and that's a big deal. So if you can see the rogue out before they get to you, I mean, a lot of teams are going to roll a rogue in their 3v3, 2v2, 5v5. So we'll see exactly what happens. But on the PvE side, I think they might get a slight buff. We'll see, but I think they're still gonna stay a mediocre class. Shamans, that's also kind of a teetering class that's kind of been really good in some expansion packs and then really bad in some. So it's kind of been like this wave thing. Like, they were really good vanilla, Burning Crusade, but then they kind of tapered off during Wrath of the Lich King. They had a resurgence in Cataclysm, but then they dropped off again in Pandaria and Warlizard Drainer. And I think that they're gonna come back. I think that Shamans are gonna be the elite class in Legion, and especially their DPS. I think enhancement shamans are going to get an extremely huge buff, and I've heard this in I've read different articles, and people seem to think that enhancement shamans specifically are going to get a big buff. As far as elemental or restoration, we'll see. Shamans have kind of always been pretty good healers, and I think that's going to continue on into Legion. Last but not least, Paladins. Paladins are always good. They've since the beginning, they've just been really, really good. I think they had a step off during Cataclysm, but they've been strong. I mean, pretty much the entire like since the starting of the game. I think that maybe a paladin might be a second choice to roll in this expansion, because I feel like they've just been so overpowered, and I think that, and what I've heard is that Blizzard is looking to nerf them. So watch out, paladins. Maybe think about changing your class up, or really doing some research closer to Legion drop. So maybe, you know, the week before Legion drops, do a little bit more reading and see what you find. See maybe the leaks of different things, and just see how it goes. So in conclusion, we've kind of talked about every class a little bit, kind of generically, just because there's not too much stuff that's been leaked out. But there's 3 classes that I have in mind that you definitely, if you have one of these classes to cap, I would definitely recommend rolling either a warrior, a druid, or a mage. I would say a paladin, but like I said before, they're gonna get a large nerf, a fairly large nerf, I believe. So I can't really recommend the paladin right now. But warriors, mages, and druids have always been good, and druids right now are insanely overpowered, especially the healing side of druids. Now, warriors are gonna be good even going into Legion, PvP wise and PvE wise. They're always a first round pick, especially for myself. I'm gonna be rolling a warrior into Legion. And mages are also good in both sides, especially. I mean, you need a mage in your PvP arena groups, and then mages also deal a shitload of damage in PvE. So mages are always going to be a go-to for DPS and fairly fun rotations. You're shooting fireballs and firebolts and frostbolts and all sorts of arcane shit. So they're going to be a really fun class to play. And like I said, druids, they're going to have 4 specs. You can roll any single one of them. But guys, just do your research closer to Legion and see what some people are saying. I know there's probably going to be some talent leaks and spec leaks. So you're going to get a good idea of which to roll coming closer to Legion and with the release of Legion. But warrior, mage, druid, there's my recommendations. Have fun playing. I'm about to roll that warrior, Area 52. Let's go. Thanks for watching, guys.